Hi guys, very good evening to you. Welcome to the video number 235, and this is Ajay. Today I'm going to talk about what basically the questions being asked in the interview if you are looking for the basic VBA interview. And in this VBA interview, I'm going to cover the topics like ranges, last row, and the selection, how to select the data, different ways how to select the data. And this video I'm going to upload because I have actually received an email from Sriraj Mohanty, and he said that greetings Ajay, I'm watching your videos every day and gaining a lot of things from them. Your videos on VBA interviews are so amazing. Thank you for sharing such a powerful knowledge with us. Thank you so much. I'm not in analytics field, but very soon I may turn up for the VBA interview. I want to know that what questions could be put up for the basic VBA job. My interview would be on the basic VBA as I'm new to this industry, just changing my stream. Thank you, Sriraj. So I think he's going to change his stream, so might be, I'm not sure, I mean, what exactly the kind of the interview he will face, but as he said that he would like to know the basic questions which are asked on the VBA. So now there are a lot of questions actually, and you can go to the playlist, and under this playlist what you can do is you can, for those who are watching the channel for the first time, you can find out here the playlist called Excel VBA and Access Interview Questions, right? Let me just scroll it down. We have created a playlist here. I just want to show you that actually. Yeah, that's the one. So you have the 11 videos, and just in case if you are interested in watching all these videos, please go ahead. They are a mixture of intermediate and advanced level videos, right? But in this case we are going to talk about the very basic actually, the very basic the questions which asked and which revolves around your how to select the range and using the offset function, right? So guys, once again I want to thank you that you can see here that we have got the 504 subscribers. So we have completed our 500 subscribers, and I'm really very thankful to you. Because of your support and love, we are getting the subscribers added day by day, and that means that you are actually liking the videos. Thank you so much for that. Right now, one more thing I want to tell you, if you are a new subscriber or maybe watching for the first time, or maybe you have been associated with my channel for a long time, I have recently started the very basic videos on the Excel VBA. Right now that covers your loop part, that covers your if functions, and that covers your this introduction series as well. So you can go ahead and watch these videos. This is the introduction to the macro editor. If you think that you know the macro editor, I can bet, just go ahead and watch this complete video. You will definitely gain something out of it, right? And this is again the second part in which I have talked about a lot of things about the range command, the sheet command, and the offset function, how we use it, and what is the need of it basically, right? So this is what all about the Excel VBA, the basic part. And you can also go ahead and click on the Excel VBA collection loop, and similarly there is another category which is Excel VBA loops. So there I have uploaded, I think, around 10-12 videos on the very basic part of the loops, right? So you need to just go there, and I mean, whatever topic you are actually interested in, just go to these playlists and find it out, what exactly you're looking forward, and you will have a mixture of videos under those playlists. So now let's go ahead and I have prepared this the questionnaire actually, and this is the I know these questions are definitely going to be asked if you talk about the basic interview, because when I used to take the test a long time back actually, then when I used to prepare the questions for my team, for my people, for the leaders, then these are the basic questions which comes, right? So we have going to deal with the 5 questions, right? So just sit there attentively and watch this, because I can say that even if you know that the basic, if you're an expert in the VBA, I'm sure you're going to gain something out of it, right? So the first question actually is that how to select the entire range having blank cells. So this is a kind of a, let's say, the question which you when you go and appear for the the basic interview. Now these are all the basic questions, remember. So now what we want to do is you want to select this entire range, right? And at the same time you can definitely go ahead and write a very simple code here. I can go here in the developer tab, click on the Visual Basic, and let me insert the module here, right? And if you just are very much new to the VBA, then I can tell you one thing: please don't pause the video, don't watch this. Rather than watching this video, just go there and watch all these part 1 and part 2. Then you will definitely understand, you know, what exactly I'm going to talk about. If you have a good idea about the VBA, maybe the basic idea, then let's go ahead and let us, you know, cover these questions. Now the thing is, I'm going to write here, let's say this is my you know, the answer number 1. So let's just write here answer 1. And now what you actually want to do is you want to select the range. So you know that the code is very simple. You can select it from A1 to A17, right? I have talked about this in the video, in the introduction series, as I was telling you. Go ahead and watch those videos as well. Now this, when you run this macro using the F8 command, F8 command actually is a shortcut key to run the macro. You see that this is going to be selected, but this is not what exactly we're going to ask here, right? We need actually this data to be dynamic enough. For example, if I, let's say, add some values here, let's say I'm going to add here this and then this, then this should automatically select from A1 to 20. So how you're going to do that, right? So we don't want to change this. We don't want to keep this A17. It should be dynamic enough. So how you're going to do that? So there are a number of ways of doing it, but I think the best way would be to find it out the row number, the blank row number, right? So for that you can use the control up arrow command or the control down arrow. If you go to the A1 and use the control down arrow, then control down arrow is the shortcut key which takes you to the last value, the filled value. So if you are on the A1 and you use the control down arrow, you will be on the last cell, which is 112. So which is wrong to use, because you see that the 6th row is blank. So control down arrow, if you are going to use control down arrow, I'm talking about down arrow key which you have to scroll, you know, to the left and the right direction. So I have explained it a lot in the the part number 2 video, which is this video, right? So definitely if you go to the A1 and you use the control down arrow, it is not going to be it is not going to stop on this, the last value. So what you need to do is here, that's a very important step. You need to go to the actually the last cell, which is called 10,48,576, and then from there you need to use the control up arrow, and this is the way, you know, you can capture the last row of your cell. So this is what exactly we are going to do. So what we will do, we will simply go here and I'm going to select the, let's say, A10 lakh dot, because I know this much of data you're not going to store in the Excel. So this is what exactly we want to do. I want to find the row. So this is the line which returns the row number of your last cell. So I can write here last row equals to this one, and you can also you need to define it. So you're going to define it the last row as, let's say, long. Okay, so now what happens when you run this last row, let me run this, you see that you're going to see the row number is 20, which exactly is my last cell. Now how to use this 20? So what you will do here, instead of writing here A20, you're going to concatenate A with this cell, which is going to be last row. Okay, so now we need to change this code. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to concatenate this, or you can say that you can also do you can concatenate this A1 colon A, and the last row you can keep it here, right? So this happens. Now what will happen, this last row 20 is going to be joined with this A, and eventually you will have the entire selection done, right? So the next time if you have, let's say, I'm going to change this data. For example, let us say that I'm going to delete this entire table from here. Okay, now let us run this. So the moment I'm going to run this, have a look on the last row. It says 8, which is correct, and your table will be selected accordingly. So this program is wonderful, right? So if you add some more numbers here, let me quickly add some numbers. I'm going to create here some blank rows as well. Look at this. Okay, now the moment you run this, this is what exactly you will get, right? You can see here that it has selected the entire table. Perfect, right? So this exactly is the code which can give you 100% marks. Let's go to the next thing. All right, so here we have this. I remember this question. I prepared this question a long time back, and this is what exactly I asked. So what I actually asked there is, please make a loop in VBA so that we can see each value in a list in the form of a message box. But please note that if data expands or shrinks, your code should also adjust accordingly and give us the same numbers of message boxes. So basically I want to run a loop, okay, which should be if I run, then should be displaying these numbers 23 and then blank and then 55, 54, 22 and then blank, blank and 54 and so on, you know, and the 44, right? But having a condition, if I delete these two numbers, let's say I delete these two numbers, and next time I run the code, I should be only able to see 23 blank, 55, 54, 22. And in the similar way, if I add some more value here, let's say 10, then the loop should automatically give me 23 space 23 blank, 55, 54, 22 blank, blank and then so on, and you know, then blank, blank and 10. So this exactly you need to do. This is how you need to prepare the loop. So now this loop can be prepared using the for next loop. If you don't have any idea about the for next loop, then as I said that you can go ahead and find it out this example, Excel VBA loops example. Just click on this playlist and you can watch all these part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 and part 7 and part 6 must be there. So you can watch all those videos, right? They are the very basic videos I have talked about there in a great detailed, right? And you can use that. Rest of the videos which you are seeing here, where you don't find the part 1, part 2, they are the extremely advanced level of the videos, right? So here I'm going to use the code. So let's just go back and now let me create another module here. So in the insert module, now what we are going to do, this is going to be the answer number 2. So now what we are going to do here is I want to run the loop. So to run the loop, I want to first of all find it out that what is my last value. Okay, how many times I'm supposed to run this loop. Now if I say that I want to run this loop 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 times, for example, I'm going to write here dim I as, let's say, long, and I'm going to use the for I equals to 1 to 10 because I need to run this loop 10 times. And then what I want to do is every time in the message box, what I need to do is in the message box, which is a VBA function, I want to get the value which is cells. You use the command called cells. Okay, now in the cells you have the two parameters, row number and column number. So row number will remain 1 because the data is moving, you know, column wise, it is not moving row wise, it is not in the downward direction. Every cell is on the row number 1, but the column index it's changing, so I need to write here I, which is my variable. Okay, the same variable I'm going to use, and dot value. So now what happens when you're going to run this loop, let me run this loop. You see that it says 23. Why it says 23? Because this I is now going to hold a value called 1 because the loop is running for the first time, right? Now the loop is again running because we have said that we would like to run this loop 2 times or 10 times actually. So now the next time you see that cells 1, 2. Cells 1, 2 means that you are on the first row and the second column. So you will get to see a blank cell. You know that there is no value here in the B2. So similarly, you run this loop. So let me quickly run this on the, you know, this continue F5 and the macro will run fast. So you have 22, you have blank, and then 55 and then blank and then 44, right? But the problem with this is that if I delete these two numbers, okay, it is still going to run 10 times, right? Because you have said that for I equals to 1 to 10. So when you click here, after 22, it should stop, but it is not stopping. This pop-up will come, you know, 5 times more because of the blank cell. So we need to actually make this dynamic, and that is what, you know, it is asked in this, that the code should adjust accordingly and give us the number of message boxes, the same number of message boxes, you know, where you have these values coming. So what we need to do actually in this case, we are going to be on this cell XFD, and from there I'm going to use the control left arrow because this is going to take me to the last filled value, and I'm going to capture the row number, right? In the previous example, we went to the last row and we captured the last row, you know, from the last cell actually, but here from the last column we are going to capture the last filled value, the column number of last filled value, right? So in this case, what you can do is you can declare one more variable. Let's say I'm going to declare the column number as long, and here you can say that column number is going to be equals to range XFD. XFD is your column. We keep it XFD1 because we need to, you know, move from the one row. So this is how you are going to write XL to left, and that dot column number, right? So you will get the column number, and this is what exactly you will use here. So now what happens when you run this code, you see that you have the column number here 5, which is correct because you are on the column number E. So that means the now loop is going to run 1 to 5 times. So if you're going to run it 1 to 5 times, then obviously this value, when you run it, you will have 23, you will have space, and then 55, and then 54, and then 22. That's it, right? So if you further go ahead and let's say add here one more value, let's say I have written here my name. Now the moment you're going to run this, are we going to get all the values? 23, perfect, space, blank means 55, 54, 22, and then again blank, and then Ajay, and then stop, right? So this is wonderful. So in this way you can make your loop dynamic and you can have the message boxes, right? Very basic thing. Let's go to the question number 3. All right, now look at this. How to select the last row having non-blank cell. Now this I have already told you. We have 4 questions here. How to select the last row having non-blank cell, which means that how to select this cell. So there are 2 ways of doing it, guys. Let's just go ahead and insert one more module. So sub and the answer number 3. So how to select the last row? You know that I'm going to select the A1, and from the A1 I'm going to go down, which is Excel down, and dot select, right? If you run this code, see what will happen. You are on the last cell. I put my cursor here, cell here, and now if I run this, this is what exactly is going to happen. What is the another way? The another way is you can also move from the downward direction. So let's say I'm going to run from the A100 end, and then I'm going to use Excel up. So it takes my cursor to the last filled value, but from the downward direction. So if I just comment this line out and I put my cursor here, then have a look here. Let us just run this. You see that I am on the last cell, right? So you can also do one thing. I mean, if you want to break it out, you can also break it out. And guys, let me tell you one thing. If this is something you are being asked in the interview, and let's say for a moment you forget the code, that does not mean that you leave this question blank. You make the best use of your macro editor, how to use it, right? I have explained it in this video, Excel VBA Introduction series, which we have started. Don't forget to watch that, but I will be very quick here. So what you can do is, you don't know the code, but you can do one thing. You can simply go to the developer tab and just record the macro. I'm just going to name it junk, okay? And then what I will do, I will simply select OK. I go on the A1 and I press the control down arrow key. Control down arrow key takes you to the last filled value, right? So just stop the recording. Once you stop the recording, go ahead and watch that, the code which is going to be which this is generated. So this is what exactly you see that the Excel has generated, and this is what exactly you can also cut from here. Just delete this macro so that the question when your interviewer is going to check that he should not see that that this is the recorded one. So just write here and delete this macro forever. In fact, you should delete the module also, right? So you can delete the macro from here. Remove the module 8. Do you want to export the module 8 before removing it? No, I don't want to export it anyway. That's it. So this is also the same line, guys, right? But definitely if you use this is going to be wonderful, because here you are using the one line. But here what you're doing, first you're going on the A1 cell. Look at this. It goes on the A1, and then now from that selection, it is using selection.excel down. So both the answers are correct. Both the syntaxes are correct. Okay. All right. So if you want to use the A100, then what you will do in the Excel down, you will use the Excel up, because if you are on the A100, somewhere here in the A100, then you need to obviously go to in the upward direction. So you use the control up arrow and the code will change to Excel up. So if you use this is also the same thing. As you can see, now I'm on the the same cell. All right, now what is the next thing? How to capture the last row of last cell. Now you want to find it out that on which row number actually you are. Now the code which we have written, so I'm going to comment this out. Okay, let's just comment this out. Now how to capture the last row. Right now if you execute this line, let's say this line, it takes you to the last cell, but it doesn't tell you about the last row number. So what you need to do is, it's very simple. You just need to copy this line and paste it here. Instead of selecting the cell, let's get the row number. That's it. This is the property. Property means it is going to tell you about the, you know, the one of the character. It is going to tell you about actually the cell. It is going to tell you about this A1 cell. Not A1 cell, but actually the active cell. You know, what is the row number of that? So property means exactly that, which tells you about the object, right? So when you run this, invalid use of a property would come. Yes, I was expecting this error, because you see, you want to get some value, you want to retrieve some value which is a row number. So to do that, you need some variable or a message box. So you can write a message box as well, right? So when you run this code now, you don't need this. Basically, I can comment this out. I can simply scroll it here. Let's not execute that line and look at this. It gives you the row number as 8. Okay, so this line, range a1.end excel down.row, is going to return the row number. Very simple, right? How to go to the last column having non-blank cell. So now what if we want to go to the last column, this one, right? So again, it's very simple. What you can do is the same code which you have written here. If you want to go from the A1, so what you can do is, let me just comment this out. And let's just comment this out. Now you see that if I'm on the A1, if I use the control right arrow, it is going to take me to the last, you know, the cell. So what I will do that instead of using this Excel down, you should use the Excel to right. Okay, and you can also again use the macro editor. You will get the code for that, right? Just in case if you don't remember it. So now the moment I'm going to run this, see what will happen. It works. It is on the E2 cell, E1 cell. Let me actually change the selection. Let's put it here. So the moment you run this code, see that, guys, right? Similarly, if you want to move in the reverse direction, so I copy the code. Let's say you want to go to the last cell, except T1, and then obviously your direction will change to, you know, Excel to left, right? Because except T is your last column. If you're using Excel 2007 or the, you know, the higher versions, you would see these many columns here, right? So if you're on this cell, then obviously to come back to the last filled value, you need to use the control and left arrow. So when you use that, this is what exactly happens, right? This is exactly the code which is going to be generated by the macro editor if you do the recording. Otherwise, this is very simple to learn, very simple to remember, right? So what is the next thing? How to capture the last column. So how are you going to capture the last column? It's again, you know, what you need to do. Let me just copy this and paste it here. Instead of dot select, you just write here column. Okay, and this will give you the column number. So let me just comment this out, and because we need the column number, we want to have this value, because this value cannot be, I mean, if you run this right now, you get the same error, invalid user property. This column property you can't use like this. You need some variable for that, or maybe a message box also, right? So I can write here message box. I'm not using any variable, just I want to use the message box, and there we go. As you can see that the column E is having the last value, which is 2, so it returns the column number of E, right? Very simple. All right, let's go to the next question. What is the next question? Now this is very interesting. Create the button which automatically selects the entire data. Please ensure that if table shrinks or expand, selection should also shrink or expand, right? So we need to create a button here first of all. So let's go ahead and prepare the code. We want to prepare a code which selects this data, you know, all together. So let me just write here, this is going to be the answer number 4. So the first thing which you would like to do here is, now you can do it in a number of ways. For example, you can create the shortcut key Control Shift right arrow, and then keeping your Control Shift you know, keys pressed, you can press the down key as well, and this is going to take you to the, you know, last cell. So you can also quickly record the macro for that. It's very simple, right? So what we can do is, let me record the macro. Let's say I don't remember, so I'm just going to record the macro, and I'm going to name it as dummy, let's say. Okay, so I select the A1 cell, and in the A1 cell I'm going to press Control Shift right arrow, and my Control Shift is still on, it is still pressed, and I'm going to press the down arrow. Now it selected the entire table, right? All right, now stop the recording and have a look on the code which is in this. So this is what exactly it has selected. So now you copy this code. or maybe you can cut it from here, just delete the module this later, and you can put the code here. So this is what exactly your code looks like, right? Range A1, and from the A1 it is going to select the selection part. So if I'm here and if I run this macro, see what happens. It goes in the A1. Now A1 becomes the selection. So from the selection it is going in the Excel to right direction. Selection is a part of it, that's why it is selecting it. Previously what we were doing, we were going on the last blank cell, on the last filled value, but here we need to select the things. So that is why the code, you know, looks a little different, but the concept remains the same. And this is going to select the table. Right now, if you add some more data here, let's say I'm going to add some values here. Okay, the table expands. So you know that if you run this code, automatically your shortcut key will work here. This is your shortcut key called Control Shift right arrow, and this is Control Shift and then down arrow, and automatically your table, you know, is going to be selected. Right? What is the another way of writing it, guys? You can also write the code like this. Just directly write here range, and then you write here A1, and then comma, and then, you know, from the A1 right here again range, and A1 dot end Excel to right dot select. Okay, there is some, I think I have to cover the brackets properly. Yeah, there we go. So now this code, and then again the same code from here, and you can write Excel down as well, and I can comment the above lines, this one, and this one. All right, now let's just let's go ahead and run this code. So you see that this selected the, you know, the entire row number, the entire row, and this is going to select the column. All right, so here we have done one mistake, that basically what you can do is, because you need to go from the A1 to the last value. So the next time if you write this, you know, in the next line, that from the A1 go in the downward direction, it is only going to select the A1 to A7, and the D part is not going to be covered. Okay, so I believe in that way this code is not going to work. Maybe if you change let's say the D, if you write here the D, and if I comment this line, let's just have a run on this line, you see that it has selected. This is wonderful, right? So you can also use this line. You need to understand what we are saying. We are saying from the A1 go to the which cell. A1 is the beginning. What is the end point? The end point is from the D1 you move to the last row, which is going to be your using the control down arrow, right? So if I let's say delete the data, let's have a look now. If I run this line, perfect, it is working, right? So there are a number of ways actually of doing it. I can tell you one more way, right? I can tell you one more way. What you can do is, you can select the A1 to D4, let's say, right? Now I know that this is not exactly going to work, but I'll tell you the, you know, just give me a second. First run this, and by the way, let me select the any blank cell here. Okay, there we go. Now it is selected that, right? Now you know that if I increase the table, then this is not going to be covered, because I have selected there a D4, right? But you know that we can make this dynamic. We can join this with a variable called last row. Let's say last row will give us the number, right? So here you can declare a variable called last row as integer, and then you can say that last row equals to range. Now you should start from the D, not from A or B or C, because you need the row number. Now I mean, you can also use A or B or C or D, whatever you want to use, but I would say that because your last column is D, so write here D, because maybe just in case if you have a blank row here, or if you have a, let's say, 2 blank rows here, then, you know, using from the B, if you're going upward direction, you will have a wrong row number, and if you are moving from the column A and using control up arrow, you will again have a wrong row number. So you need the correct row number. Okay, so that is why I prefer to use it the column D, because that is my last column. So I'm going to use here let's say D1000 dot end Excel up dot row. So when you run this program, what happens? You get to see here 5, which is perfect, and this D is now going to be concatenated with this 5. The overall syntax becomes range A1 colon to D5. Obviously you will have your table selection done properly. Right now, if I'm going to add some more values here, let's say I just add some more number of rows. Now what happens when you run this macro? Look at this. What is your last row now? It is 7, and you're going to concatenate this 7 with the D, and this is what exactly happens, right? So in this way you can make the code. Now what is the last question? Let's go to the last question. It is very interesting. On the same theme, I have seen this question somewhere. Somebody asked this question. One of my students in my training online, he actually asked me this question a long time back, and it is very simple. Create the button which automatically selects. Okay, so we haven't created the button, but we will create in this. Right, creating a button remains same for every macro. Create the button which automatically selects the entire data. Now in this case also we have a same thing, but the point is, in this example you can't use the control shift right arrow and control shift down arrow because we have some blank rows here. If you're going to do that, this is what will be selected, right? So, and you also cannot go from here and you say that that I'm on the last row and I press control shift right arrow and then up arrow, because it is only going to take you to the the next cell, which is where we have a value, and afterwards it's a blank cell. So using the shortcut key is not going to work here. So that is why if you use this kind of a code, in the previous example we didn't have any blank row, so you could have used all these different methods, either this one, either this method which uses 3 lines, or you could have used this line as well. Okay, and then the third method was that using the last row and using it this. So in this specific example you cannot use any other method any other method instead of this method which we have doing. So let me just completely delete this. Let me just delete this entire portion. There we go. Look at this now. This is the exact method, because in this way when you're going to run your loop, you will get the correct last row, which is, as you can see, 9, and then your the complete data will be selected. Now in this example I must warn you guys, don't use the control down arrow. For example, I told you in the beginning that you can also get the last row from the A1 cell. So let's say if I write here this range from A1 dot end Excel down, right? I'm using the shortcut key called control shift down arrow to get the row number. In this case it will create a problem. I'll tell you how. You see that the moment I'm going to run this code, it starts from the A1 and the row it is going to capture, it would be 2, and then your data will be A1 to D2, which is wrong, right? Because if you're on the A1 and you use the control down arrow, obviously you will not be able to see the last row. That is why we need to go to the last value, and from here we are supposed to use the control up arrow, right? So I mean, in some situations you may feel that any code can work, maybe end Excel up or end Excel down. In some cases not necessarily, like in this case. So you need to decide, you need to choose wisely, which code basically you are supposed to select, right? So that's it, and this is the end of this video. And as always, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, guys, please do subscribe the channel. And you have 36 videos, and you can go ahead and watch all these playlists, right? So I hope you enjoyed this and wish you very best of luck, my dear subscriber, and hope you crack the interview. If you have any questions regarding this, Sereis, just write me, just give your comments, give your thought process on the same, and definitely I will not hesitate to come back to you and to upload some new videos on the same. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Bye bye.